Hello, everybody. Welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. And happily for me, but not happily for these three guys, we are here for our annual debrief after Nottingham Forest changed their manager. So this is a Nottingham Forest special. It does feel like we've been here before. However, we're going to try and accentuate the positive, and hopefully these guys are going to tell me why it's going to be different this time. Now, you've probably come across all of these guys on the internet and in the creative space for the championship. So we'll just do a quick little hello, and then we're going to get into a bit of Lamouchi, a bit of Marianakis, and a bit of Chris Houghton. Well, I don't know how people can see. It's like the Brady bunch here. To my left, say hello, founder of the Door on Tour channel, Mr. Door. How are you doing, sir?
I'm fine, Benjamin. How are you?
Well, I'm probably better than you. It feels like we've made this exact same bit of content twice before, but hey, the context changes. Beneath Mr. Door, not metaphorically, obviously, on a higher mortal plane than any of us. Malcolm, how are you doing, sir?
I'm all right, thanks, Ben. How are you?
Yes, lovely. As I say, better than you. And beneath me, again, not metaphorically, just in the picture, match day with Max. How are you doing, Max?
Audio?
Who may have a bit of a lag. Hopefully, everybody can hear me. Max, have a little play with your audio because it appears that you can't hear me. But we will try and move on with the show. Right, let's set up the context here. If either of you guys can just type to Max on your phone or something and let him know that he can't hear us.
I think I can hear you now. Can you hear me fine?
We can hear you, Max.
Right,
Lovely.
There you go.
There you go. We were just going to say hello to you, but you've kind of done that now. Let us know if you are in the chat. Hi to Owen, Aquatic, Milton Knows, John Wayne, QPR Forever. We'll do some questions at the end, but let's hear what the guys have got to say first. So, look, there's two issues here, and I want to get your take on both of them. One is the outgoing manager, and one is the ingoing manager. And there's a shed load of context for each thing. So let's just go to the split screen real quick. And I know this is not going to make nice viewing for you guys, but we need to set the context. This is the championship table on the 1st of July, 2020. So we've come back from lockdown. When I was doing my research, guys, I thought I was going to be going back to the Leeds United game. But then I kind of saw another couple of victories, and I looked at that and I saw 4th place with 6 games to go and, 7 points clear of Derby going into the East Midlands Derby against Derby County. Everyone kind of comfortable with this team that Lamouchi has sort of created. Malcolm, what the hell went wrong between game number 40 and game number 46?
Interesting question, Benjamin. I think actually the problems were going back a lot further than that. I think for me, when the wheels started to fall off was Charlton at home. So a year ago, we went to Wigan away and we lost. We lost that game because Lamouchi had made a whole load of changes. And he said, I've learned from that mistake. I'm not going to do it again. Until he did it again. And then he did it again. And the third time he did it was Charlton at home, and we lost 1-0. And that's when we started to look a bit rocky. We had bad results against Sheffield Wednesday at home, Millwall at home. I mean, the Millwall game, which was the last home game before lockdown, we were appalling. We were absolutely dreadful. And it was like we've gone from the first 6 months of Lamouchi's tenure, where his win rate's about 48%, and we're really kicking on. We're doing really well. We're all optimistic. I mean, we were there that night at Brentford away, and you were there, Mr. Bloom. We all got back on the coach after the game, and that's it. We were like, yep, that's it. We're going up automatic. And within a period of a few literally a few days, something happened. Now, I don't know what that thing that happened was, but that thing that happened seemed to extenuate over lockdown. And when we came back, we had that bit of momentum where we got those couple of wins against Huddersfield and Bristol City. And then after that, we just couldn't do a thing. And
Max,
something in the background for me.
Max, do you agree with Malcolm that from the outside, with me just looking at the numbers and the results, that do you agree with his hypothesis that, well, actually there was stuff going wrong before that led up to this? Because my take on the Championship last year was that Leeds were very good. Brentford and Fulham, West Brom had a good manager and parachute payments. Brentford and Fulham were pretty, okay, decent, getting there, weren't they? And everything else was much of a muchness. Do you agree then that you weren't in a position to be the best of the rest beneath those four? And was it also clear to you? Well, I mean, we're talking months before from what Malcolm's saying, Max.
I mean, it's really difficult to put it down to one thing. And like Malcolm says, I see where he's coming from. But I do think with Forest, where it went wrong for me was, like Malcolm said, just the constant changes from Lamouchi. And like Malcolm said, learning from the mistakes and then he'd go and do it again. I think the problem really, I think there was a lot of players behind the scenes, and reading between the lines and also reading articles and things like that on The Athletic, which I subscribe, and there's some great ones on there. I mean, and a lot I've read is I think there was a lot going on behind the scenes in terms of players unhappy. And I think these unhappy players had a negative impact on the squad. I also think that Forest, to me, it was the best chance I think it was the easiest the Championship had been for a while to get up there. Forest had the best chance they had in a while and the best season that we'd had since probably Billy Davies' 2011-12 season. So for me, it was a completely wasted opportunity. And that is why it hurt more. And I think if you ask any Forest fan, and I truly say this as well, is that if we'd have got to the playoff final or the playoff semi-final, so we'd beat Stoke and we'd gone on to the playoffs, and we lost in either of those fixtures, we would have probably been less upset than we were when we lost against Stoke because of the heartbreak, because we were there for 97% of the season and then it all just crumbles at the end. So going back to your question, I really don't know. I honestly can't put it down to think. And a lot of people will say it was down to Lamouchi. Like my opinion, it was down to unhappy players. I just think it was a mixture of everything really, and it was just kind of a crumble at the end of it.
Dor, is there a sense when you have a team that's kind of set up and the game plan is absorb pressure, we don't need too much of the ball, we have Graben who will score, Lolly who will create something, attacking fullbacks, one very good attacking fullback, much to the terrible predictions from some of my friends in pre-season, but there we go. Is there a sense that when a team like that stops scoring goals and stops winning tight games, that they kind of have nowhere to go? Do you understand my question?
Yeah. I think when I met you at QPR, Benjamin, I said to you before the game, like, Lamouchi,
4-0 win, by the way.
Yeah, 4-0 win. Yeah. And I said before the game that we're not going to get the ball. We're not going to get the ball because of the way Lamouchi plays. Frankly, we won 4-0 that game. But teams like the bigger teams like Brentford, other high teams, they have the ball. Lamouchi gives it, lets and brings it, and then when we got the ball, we attack. The lower teams, it just never worked. It never worked. There was no plan B as well. So it was getting frustrating sometimes. I think the game against Charlton, as Malcolm said, that game was just awful, if I do remember, especially the Millwall game.
Disgraceful.
It was disgraceful. Like I said,
Disgraceful.
You wanted to tear your hair out, actually. It was that bad. It was so frustrating as well. We just could not find the back of the net at all.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. The inbuilt flaw in the plan of be very solid and let Graben and Lolly win you the game is that when that doesn't happen. But like Malcolm said, I was at Brentford, and when the goal goes in after 10 minutes, whoop, well, we're set up for this. Sit back, frustrate, and away you go. Let's have a look. And I'm sure you've lamented over this a lot. Let's just have a look at this collapse, because it is quite stunning when you look at it. So we're going from a position of being 7 points clear with 6 games to go. So the Derby game, okay, 97th minute goal, it can happen. The Fulham game, well, I maintain in the Premier League, the goal gets disallowed because you can't have a handball, deliberate or not deliberate, in the lead up to a goal. In the Championship, it doesn't get disallowed, and I do not blame the referee for that. That's the double standard. Preston, I don't quite remember whether you had the lead in that one or not.
Yeah,
but
it was winning 1-0.
And then it starts to get ridiculous, doesn't it? 2-2 draw against Swansea, which actually ends up being utterly vital because they're the team that's going to sneak up. And then late drama against Barnsley, and then the most unlikely swing I've ever seen in my life. I genuinely was preparing for the last game of the season, and I was writing up all of the possibilities, and I thought, oh, there is a possibility that Forest can't make it, but it's so remote I won't write it down. But then I did write it down. Okay, we need a Swansea win, we need a Forest defeat, and we need a 6-goal swing. 6 in one game. It turns out that it wasn't 6 goals in one game. It was 6 goals in 30 minutes in the end. So look, it was insane. So I'm gonna not dwell on the collapse. I think that's enough. I'm going to come to you one at a time. We know Mr. Marianakis is very, very ruthless. So the question I'm going to ask is, without the benefit of hindsight, I know you have hindsight, with it being Marianakis and with it being Forest, should Lamucci, we'll come to Dor first, should Lamucci have gone after the collapse during the short close season?
Personally, yes. Only because, like I said, that I'm going to mention the Derby game. Me and Malcolm was watching that game, and I said to Malcolm, that Derby, when they scored in the last minute, it's going to crumble. Didn't I, Malcolm? It was at your house, and it was going to crumble, and it happened. That the game against, I think it was Fulham as well. It was awful there, and it wasn't getting better. And the game against Barnsley away, it was just getting worse. And I thought I was still optimistic we could still do something better. And then Stoke, that literally got me down. Really did. And
I was crying. Yeah. Full on, just with tears. Just
so I was on the floor. I was on the floor, literally on the floor. But yeah, and I say it should have gone. To be fair, that's my opinion. It should have gone.
Malcolm,
yeah.
They shouldn't have given him a new contract with like 5 or 6 games to go in the season. They should have waited till he qualified for the playoffs to see if they qualify, and then reward him with a new contract.
To be fair, Malcolm, when I show you that league table 6 games out, it looked like he had made the playoffs. To be fair, but it wasn't guaranteed. Would you have got rid of him then, regardless of the contract? Would you then, given the collapse, have gotten rid of him and take into account the short close season as well?
So you didn't see my Twitter feed that night then?
Will give me the answer?
Yes, I would have got rid of him. I was absolutely disgusted. If I was Marinakis, I'd have got rid of him there and then, within half an hour after the game. I wouldn't have even slept on it, because that capitulation against Stoke was, for me, it summed up everything that's been wrong for the last few months, regardless of lockdown or not. It sums up everything. You know, not enough attacking, too much defending, not enough creativity. We're playing injured players. You know, we haven't got enough players. You know, we had a bad January transfer window. And at the end of the day, Mr. Bloom, you saw the best game of the season when we were on 4-0. When was the other time we scored more than 2 goals in a game? You know,
Wasn't a team that was set up to do that, was it? And I suppose the caveat in the 4-0 game was that game at QPR was the perfect game state and situation for a Sabri Lamucci setup, wasn't it? Before I come to you, Max, really quickly, we just need to say thank you to Jay. Like you're asking them to watch back their car crash, but he's paid £2 for that super chat. So we're going to read that one out. Max, Malcolm's come back to the idea that this wasn't, for us from the outside, we think this was just a freak collapse, and that look, the last day didn't go against you. Would you, Max? Would you have gotten rid of Lamucci at the end of the season after the collapse?
No, and I honestly say, without hindsight, no. The reason being, I think that night I was just so upset about it more, and then I can remember speaking to someone from the club that night and the day after as well. And they said Lamucci won't go because the Greeks are more sad and angry in terms of how it happened. And they reckon that the Greeks wouldn't get rid of him because they wanted to actually just try and give him, obviously, another chance. And my own opinion on it was, well, kind of look what happened with Leeds in terms of Bielsa and the collapse that they had in the playoffs and when they fell into the playoffs from the automatics, when really everyone tipped Leeds to be in the automatics a few seasons ago, and then they lost to Derby in the playoffs, and then they kept Bielsa and went up. So my kind of view was using that strategy. Maybe if we kept Lamucci and we just recovered from it, then maybe we could go up. Obviously, it was totally wrong. I think the trouble with this season is, and I honestly say this, there was PTSD in the squad. There was 100% post-traumatic stress because of how damaging it was. And for players like Joe Worrell, Nottingham born and bred, family, all Forest fans, knows the city so well. He was heartbroken. And even people like Joe Lolly. I honestly think that we should have actually got a psychological coach to try and help them recover from it. And I'm being deadly serious there. I also think that, for me, it definitely all went wrong when we lost against Derby. I think just that last-minute equaliser, which Chris Martin scored. I mean, I literally watched it downstairs. It was when I was doing my kind of interviews after the game, and Malcolm was on a few. I didn't get Ben on. I'm sure you can guess why. So I was doing them on Zoom like this and everything, and I kind of ran upstairs in the last minute of the game thinking, I'll just go and get set up. So, getting all the lighting set up, ringing everybody in. And then I just hear this utter, just like, scream from my dad and my brother. And it was just like, oh no. And then I just went downstairs and I just saw it.
Max, you should have heard.
Led to the disaster.
Max, you should have heard Malcolm next to me. He was worse.
Guys, look. You have to understand the difference of you guys watching from the inside and me watching from the outside.
Yeah.
And watching, I can make a case for, that goal was so preventable, wasn't it? Worrell made a silly foul, just a long ball into the box. 9 times out of 10, they don't score from that. The Harry Arter goal, as I said, in the Premier League is handball, in the Championship, it isn't,
It was a wonder goal as well.
Yeah, and then he bends it in the top corner. Bad luck. Barnsley, last minute goal. And as Max says, I was at Elland Road for Leeds Derby. I've seen a team disintegrate psychologically. I always remember being at Reading v Ipswich, right? And Ipswich went 3-0 up in like the 91st minute. And we kicked off. And I genuinely, my missus was sat next to me. She'll back me up. I said, we're going to score again. They are gone. They are, when you look at a football pitch and you see just the shape of it and you're like, they're done. If we have an attack, we are going to, and 10 seconds later we scored. And you can sometimes see it when a team is just shot psychologically. But it's so strange because it feels like a mixture of some ingrained issues plus a bit of bad luck. Maybe the ingrained issues mean that the bad luck then has a disproportionate effect on the team, if you know what I mean. But it feels like a really unique car crash, not just a Forest messing it up.
I think you can sum it up in 2 words, Mr. Bloom. Nottingham Forest.
Come on.
And
2 times
the
European
trouble
Cup
was-
winners, Nottingham. Sorry, Max, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, because the trouble was, everybody on social media leading up to the Stoke game said, surely not, we won't do this. And every other fan, whether you asked a Derby fan, near me Stoke fans, anybody, Man United fans, any fan you can think of, any football fan in general would say, or normal person would just say, nah, you'll be fine. It's harder to get knocked out than it is to stay in. And
Max,
it was
people...
really at Nottingham Forest.
People tell me every day that I am a championship savant and I know far too much about this division. I was saying for months, Forest will get in the playoffs. And if they do get in the playoffs, I wouldn't want to play them because they're very hard to score against. And playoff games get very tense. And especially if it'd been a situation with a full stadium and especially, against the likes of a Fulham where the fans expect a lot, and
Brentford.
Brentford.
Well, you beat Brentford twice,
we beat them twice, 1-0. We didn't concede against them, and they hated us for it. And
absolutely,
all the way through the end of the season, I was saying to Dor, I want Brentford in the playoffs because I'm not scared of them. The ones I didn't want were Swansea. That's who I didn't want. I wasn't bothered about Fulham or Brentford. It was Swansea and Preston I didn't want.
There you go. So we've got your views there on last season. A little bit mixed, and I appreciate your honesty, Max. Without hindsight, to be honest, I think we're 2-2 here. I don't have your guys' insider knowledge, but I would have been, give him another year. I've seen enough evidence that they can be competitive. However, I will hold my hands up. I don't know what you guys know. I was like
that next day.
To be fair, I saw Forest play about 4 games. I didn't see them concede a goal, and I saw them win every game, I think. So I have a very, very skewed picture of it. So look, before we get on to the transfers and the recruitment, which I've just found insane from the outside, I have to say. The season starts, and I've just got to go straight to this Huddersfield game because my take was, okay, get things started again. It's Forest. They've got good players. Everything will be fine. And I was doing a watch along. So I very much looked at this. And I remember Paul Hurst at Ipswich, after he ditched his philosophy and he was basically just throwing Hail Marys, we started to see some incredible team selections. And I get the Forest team come through on my phone. And remember, we're used to the most stable defensive team. I'm used to Cash, Figueiredo, Worrell, and Ribeiro. I'm used to Sal and Watson. I'm used to Lolly, Graben, Amiobi, and Thiago Silva. And I get this, I've got it up on the split screen, a completely new back four. Harry Arter making his debut. Whatever you say about Graben and his character, a guaranteed championship goal scorer on the bench and appearing to completely have fallen out with the manager. And Joe Lolly, the guy who is your go-to creative guy, on the bench also. Max, can you blame me when I see that Huddersfield team thinking, oh God, this is not going to end well?
That for me was the start where, in terms of actually, what on earth is Lamouchi doing? Those were the questions I was asking. And I can remember that game. It actually feels like a long time ago. And I think it's been, and a lot of football fans will agree with me, and this is my personal opinion, it's been very hard to get into football this season. It was okay last because we'd seen some, but because we're still not there watching it live, and I don't think that helped Forest, because if fans were there at the City Ground or away at Huddersfield in normal times, there would have been that pressure on, and maybe Lamouchi would have felt, or even given him a bit of a confidence boost because the fans might have been supportive at the games. So I think it was always difficult to get into it. And that game, when we lost it, from that game onwards, I can remember saying that things won't get any better. It's all going to go downhill from here. And I tell you, Lamouchi will be sacked if he's not careful in 2 games. And I was very surprised because we'd lost a cup game as well before that. and I think it was QPR. QPR might have come after. I'm not too sure, but I think that I was actually very surprised that Lamouchi went only. Well, it was Tuesday. I thought he would have gone much earlier than that, and that was in terms of the way Marinakis is with managers, because he sacked managers at Olympiacos when they're top of the league and 8 points clear and things before, or have just won a Champions Cup. So for me, that was when it all started to go wrong, and I just didn't enjoy it. I just thought everyone just looked like it wasn't a blended team. I thought Jack Coyle back, it was just looked poor, just looked really, really poor. I actually thought that Ryan Yates looked better, and a lot of Forest fans will say wow to that opinion, but I honestly think that Jack Colback just didn't look like Jack Colback. I thought Sammy Amiobi didn't have the best game when he comes on and he can change the game as well. And just looking at the team now, just that back four, I mean, Mbe-So, I didn't really see him touch the ball at all. Honestly, I didn't really see him touch it at all.
Max, they've never met, basically. Well, Tyler Blackett's the only one who's been in there since even the start of the season, hasn't they? But Malcolm, when we look at that game, and I'm watching from the outside, and the first thing I see is the kind of left field team selection. I mean, stick one of the new guys in and blend them with an experienced player maybe, but all of them in one go. And then the body language of Lewis Grabban as he came on, no eye contact with Lamouchi, both staring straight ahead. And then, as Max says, the completely flat performances. I know it's overused, Malcolm, but the loss the dressing room, it's done. Was it fairly plain by this Huddersfield game?
I think so, Ben. I think so. One of the things about when you're managing people and managing players is you've got to psychologically get on the right side of them. And as soon as you see Grabban being made captain, you know there's something wrong. Because I love Lewis Grabban. He's one of my favourite players for Forest over the last few years. But with all due respect to him, he's not captain material. And it makes me wonder whether he's made him captain just to keep him happy. But yeah, that team there that you've got up on the screen there, 8 of those 11 players weren't at Forest last season. And it looks like that when they play together. So there's lads who are not being picked or injured or whatever, who must be thinking, what on earth's going on? Where's the stability gone? We've gone from being a very stable, reliable team who could grind out a result in the
other
first
than Leeds, Malcolm, the most predictable team selection in the division, so stable.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And then whatever's happened, and then this, to me, this is just the capitulation of it all. This is just everything. The whole. This just sums up what's gone wrong. What's gone wrong at Forest? It's like, I just don't get it. I saw the team selection. I'm like, whoa, you're having a laugh, aren't you? You've got 4 brand new defenders in who've never played together before against a team like Huddersfield that, they'd probably had more chance against a footballing team. Just not good.
My question, sorry, but my question is also, why on earth did we bring in a whole new squad pretty much? Why? It was like almost when Ita Karanka a few years ago signed 10, 11 players on deadline.
We will come to the recruitment very soon, boys. You've preempted my next thought there, Max. Sorry, Benjamin. No, you're good, man. We're on the same page here, very much. I think we've done the Huddersfield game, but from an outsider's point of view, this looks like now someone like me, who's probably in the same boat as Max was, he can ride this out. They get some results. They get it going again. I look at this and I'm like, because it's funny actually, Dor. We spoke on the Monday and you were like, I think it's done. And I was sort of, no. Get 10 games. And, you turned out to be right. And did you see this Huddersfield one as the end of the line?
100%. When I saw the lineup and I'm seeing 3 DMs in that midfield, that was done for me. Everyone, like I said, on Monday, everyone was saying, give him a chance. No. Like I said, we bought Luke Freeman as a number 10.
Player. Very good player.
Very good player. And he's putting in...
Looked lost.
He looked lost. Because he's playing him...
What he was doing that night.
Yeah, he's playing him left wing. why are you playing him left wing? You don't need to play him left wing. Put me in the number 10, where Forest fans have been craving to put. So when I saw the game, I said to my friend, it's not good. I think when we had 2 chances in the first half, and Ben Hamer did a fantastic save, and second half was awful.
It's just flat, wasn't it?
It was flat, and there was nothing there. So
there's no passion. No, they're not. They just weren't playing. It was just they were turning up, and that was it.
And even like our ex-Forest player, Diacobi, nearly scored past us, and that would have been more embarrassing. So
he didn't.
Well,
thankfully,
it would for you because you were going to get his name tattooed.
I was that close to getting my name tattooed. I said to my friend, if Diacobi scores, I'll get a tattoo, and he nearly scored.
Give him his dues. He's quick, Diacobi. Not much else, but he's quick.
But I mean, I have never seen, and this is no disrespect because
you're about to disrespect him.
Well, I am. Well, the trouble with football is they are human and everyone makes mistakes, but I've never seen a touch so bad as his. That's all I'm going to say.
Fair.
You got a better touch. Right. You could do a better touch than that.
I have, yeah.
Before we get to Chris Houghton coming in and another Forest 1 minute manager fired, next minute new manager announced, whatever, it'd be interesting what you guys think of that approach to PR. But let's just talk. Max has already, and Dora has actually already alluded to it. So we'll come to Malcolm first on the recruitment because, again, and I know I keep using this term from the outside, but I think it's interesting for me to hear from you, but I also think it's interesting for you to hear from me as to how your club is perceived by a neutral, albeit a slightly autistic, nerdy neutral. But so let's have a look at. Well, actually, no, I'm not going to bring the numbers up. What I would have said, looking at Forest last season, is to get from 5th place where they were most of the season. Obviously, they finished 7th in the end. To maybe into the top 3 or the top 2, God forbid. Well, the keeper's fine, but you're probably going to have to sell one of Worrell, Cash, or Lolly. Okay, so we find out that the guy who's going to go is Cash. That's fine. Every team that ever gets promoted sells their best player and then reinvests the money. That's just what happens in the Championship. So I'm looking at it. I'm thinking, well, okay, Ribeiro was good, but maybe you can upgrade the left back. Centre backs could possibly upgrade Figueiredo, but I like Worrell. Going to need a new right back. I like Sal, but Watson's old, so maybe you need a central midfielder. Lolly's very good. Amiobi, we haven't seen him play better under any manager than Lamucci. Graben, excellent, but does he need a backup? Another player who can maybe come in at 70 minutes in a game and help out. But Door's stolen my thunder. A number 10 who can create something. So I'm looking at it and I see Luke Freeman come in. Okay, there's the number 10. Cash goes. It's Cyrus Christie. That's fine. He's been promoted before. Couple of centre halves come in, and we get Coyle back. So on the basis of it, I felt that was about all you needed. And could you bank some of the money and do the business well? And you know what I'm going to say. Maybe do a couple of deals with Olympiacos where a little bit of money goes one way, a little bit goes the other way, and everything is above board and hunky dory. That would have been what I would have thought would have been a good window for Forest. And then, I mean, Jesus Christ, let me just make this a bit bigger. This is transfer marked. Malcolm, in come Loic Mbeso, a 19-year-old for 4 million quid, or 4.5 says transfer mark. Again, as I always say on this, if anyone wants to disagree with their transfer fees, feel free in the comments, but please quote your source. And if it's your mate down the pub, don't bother, frankly. Scott McKenna, big money for a centre-half. Fuad Bakiru, don't know what he's done. Nicholas Ianu, another left-back. Lyle Taylor, okay. There's your grab and back up. Colback, okay. Maybe there's your Ben Watson replacement. Tyler Blackett, okay. Miguel Angel Guerrero, don't know the player. Luke Freeman, yes, big thumbs up from me. Cafu, another defensive midfielder. Harry Arter, yes, good passer, but not very mobile. But if you stick someone mobile with him, you're fine. Cyrus Christie, well, Cash has gone, and a reserve goalkeeper. Malcolm, what on earth is the thinking behind, what is that, 12 new players in for a team that should have finished 5th?
Ridiculous. I mean, it beggars belief at Forest. It always does, because like Max said earlier, we've been through transfer windows where we've signed 10 players in 48 hours. And, and we've signed 12, 13 players this transfer window. And it's so unstable. I mean, we've signed something like, well, I don't know how many players in 3 years, but it's a ridiculous number. It's got to be over 50 that we've taken in. So for me, we got rid of Cash. We've got 2 ready-made replacements. We've got Carl Jenkinson, who looked comfortable when he came in to replace Cash on certain games, and we've got Tandika Dirikwa, who got injured in the Africa Cup of Nations the season before.
And Jordan Gabriel as a young option, yeah,
absolutely, as a young option. So
he did.
Yeah, we're more than covered. We're more than covered at right back, but we bring Cyrus Christie in. Okay, he's got promotion with. He's got promotion with the previous club. He's got a lot of experience in the league. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Okay, I can respect that. But then we're going to spend a load of money on Mbasso, who nobody's ever seen. A load of Forest fans were raving about him, but all they've seen is one youth game, Paris Saint-Germain against Barcelona, on YouTube. He's got one game. He's only played 4 games for them. It's like, where's the experience? And like, what's happened with all the Portuguese lads? Why have they suddenly all been out of favour and going? Because we know Carvalho has been out of favour under a couple of managers now. Carvalho was a great playmaker when he came in, but he was very lightweight, but very good playmaker when he came in. And he lost his way, and whatever happened in the background at Forest, I don't know, but he was definitely out of favour. So yeah, we needed a number 10 to come in. So Luke Freeman, Harry Arter, great signings, really pleased with that. But all these other lads who you've never heard of, what are they actually going to bring to the club? I mean, we got lucky last season. We had Sam Basso, who nobody had heard of. We paid 500,000, 600,000 for him from Russia, from the Russian league. And, he turned out to be pretty decent. Got dodgy hamstrings and bad knees, but apart from that...
Very high win percentage, Sam Basso.
100%. Yeah. I don't mean 100%. Yeah. Last season, up to the closure of the up to the lockdown, I think we only lost 1 game while he was playing for us, and that was Huddersfield away at Christmas. Every other game we'd won or drawn. So he was a real engine for us. Him and Benny Watson in midfield did a fantastic job for us last season. And
Max, when we've talked about the crazy transfer windows before, we've been talking about teams that have finished in the lower. I remember with Ipswich going to Forest on the last day of the season and Chris Cohen scoring to keep you up. So this is not a team that needed 10 players, is it? What were your thoughts as the players kept coming in up to this deadline day? And look, we'll talk about what happened the day after deadline day. Talk about the players in, and we'll talk about the players out in a minute, Max.
To be honest with you, when I saw these players come in terms of Harry Arter, Luke Freeman, I'm thinking, wow, like, good players. And a lot of people are replying to your tweets, we're going up, Forest, announced promotion, everything like that. But to get as many as we did in, and players that we've never heard of, was ridiculous. To use Malcolm's word, it was dreadful. It was poor. I think that the recruitment, I mean, I'm still like that honestly at the recruitment. I don't know what the thinking was. Now with the Portuguese players and all these Mendes players and the Portuguese flair players that went, I think, to be honest with you, that was the recruitment or somebody at the club saying, hang on a minute, we've used Mendes for the last 2 or 3 seasons now, and it's got us nowhere. So we're going to change that, and we're going to get rid of all of those to Olympiacos maybe, or to wherever, and we're going to bring in some English players maybe. But for me, why? Why didn't we stick with Mendes? Because it worked last season up until the crumble, which we just talked about. So why not? And Thiago Silva, one of those things I cannot get my head around. Why he's gone, how he's gone, who's let him gone. Because for me, Carvalho, and this will shock you from a young person's point of view, Malcolm and Ben, I'm not being horrible here saying that you're old or anything.
Oh, I'm old too, don't worry.
We're old.
A lot of the younger generation of Forest fans are like, why isn't Carvalho playing? I was never a massive fan of Carvalho, and I'll be perfectly honest with you. I thought Thiago Silva did more than him. I thought Thiago Silva was like just 10 times a player than him, adapted to the Championship straight away. And I think that's just that's my opinion. But how we can let Thiago Silva go, which he was a first team, he was a crucial player. He was always in that first team in that starting 11 last season. Just too many changes, and I honestly think that maybe Lamucci, in terms of he's lost his special way, because I know a lot of Ivory Coast fans and Rennes fans and teams he's managed before said it'll be good for 1 or 2 seasons and then he'll lose it. Maybe that's a possibility, but I think the biggest, actually, talking about going back to our question of about 10, 15 minutes ago, in terms of what went wrong, maybe it was this season in terms of bringing in a whole new squad when we didn't need to. There's no stability in it.
But can I just jump in there? Because actually, if you go back to the January transfer window, if we'd have had a decent January transfer window,
we would have gone up automatically.
We'd have kicked
and
on.
Number 10 then, Malcolm.
Yes.
Freeman.
If we'd have bought just 2 players in at that point, we needed another forward and we needed a number 10. And that's what we needed at that point. And we could have pushed on. We definitely could have pushed on.
Dor, the only thing we haven't really covered, sorry, you're coming in at the end of this bit. The only thing we haven't covered on the transfers in, and I'm going to put my tinfoil conspiracy theory hat on here.
Here we go.
You're with me.
Who decided and who was having a say on these players coming in? Was it Sabri Lamucci? Was it Evangelos Marianakis? Or was it another person linked with the person we're about to talk about who's just been announced as the new manager? With my conspiracy theory hat on.
Personally, I think it was the director of football. Because remember, Benjamin, 2 years ago, I spoke to you about the director of football coming in. He's the one, I think personally, I don't know if Malcolm or Max agree, he's the one that brings the players in.
Who is it?
What's his name, Max? Oh, Max, no. Malcolm, what's his name? Villios?
Keep talking, I'll Google it.
Carikas de Croix.
It's a Marianakis guy, yeah?
Yeah, bear in mind that sorry, Ben, but bear in mind I kind of obviously go on the pitch every game and see the people around the tunnel. I don't think I've never had a conversation with him, to be honest with you, and I've never really. I mean, because when Forest had the last director of football before him was when we had
Kyriagos Duriakos.
Yeah, that's him. But the last director of football before him was Frank McParland, who's someone I actually when I was first at Forest, who really liked me. Actually, I got on really well with him. A brilliant guy. Whatever went on there, I've no idea, but he's a really nice guy. That's all I'm going to say.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I've never spoke to this new director of football, and I don't know whether he was responsible for the transfer. I don't think he was. I think with the conspiracy theorist hat on,
Max,
I've already answered the question. I think it was something to do with Houghton or the hierarchy.
Max, sorry, I disagree because in January, like said, who did he bring in? We brought in Bong. You used to play for Olympiacos, right? We brought in Costa. That was a French. Was it the French? Who's the guy who's gone jail? What's his?
He used to be the director of football at Marseille. Yeah.
Yeah, he brought Costa in.
Sporting director.
Sport director. He brought Costa in, and who else did we bring in? Diakabe, French. Lamucci used to play for him. I don't think these were Lamucci signed. I think it was the director of football. That's my personal opinion. I don't know if Malcolm or Max agree.
No, you know my opinion. My opinion is that Forest were talking to Houghton back in March before lockdown, and that's why Houghton didn't go to Bristol City, and that's why I chose Forest, and that's why we've seen so many of these types of players come in. We've gone down a route where we were bringing some players in that the director of football wanted, like the ones we've never heard of, and then all of a sudden, you know,
and I'm at liberty to say those are the views of Malcolm, not of the channel.
Yes,
and any lawyers, if Frank McParland's lawyer wants to speak to us, then we'll direct him to Malcolm. Yeah,
send him to Malcolm.
And I was actually going to say, I think that with you two, and I'm sure I'll probably nick one of your questions again, Dan. Sorry. So, but I think that with Houghton, there's a lot of change, and people will say, well, is there a lot of change, or is it just a phrase or a bit of a cliche? Head coach v manager, and that's all
Correct.
I'm going to say.
Yeah, 100%.
That's exactly the point I made the other night when you got the announcement, which basically it was a one line that says Sabri Lamouchi has been relieved of his duties as head coach, and then we're proud to announce he's the manager.
Oh, I hadn't spotted that, and I did a whole stream on this as well. Very interesting. The devil, as they say, is in the detail, isn't it? Let me just very, very quickly, I don't think we need to talk about it, but I'll just bring up the outgoings just so we can mention the sort of Portuguese link and what was going out. So Cash, yeah, fair enough. Good job. As I say, every team has the David Brooks or the James Mattheson or the Chris Wood or the whoever they have to sell to finance against parachute teams and against basically the championship being massively financially unstable. But then other than that, Ben Watson, who'd been in the first team, Adoma, Benaloon, Tyler Walker was an interesting one for me. But you had a manager who played one up top and he was down the card, wasn't he? The big ones there, though, obviously, are Yao Carvalho, which is just a massive bust financially for Marianakis, isn't it? And also La Liga 2. So 13 million euros to go to La Liga 2. Not, he's not gone anywhere special, has he? Goodness me. And then Thiago Silva. But you guys are totally right. They needed a dedicated number 10 who could pull the strings in a tight game and win you a tight game. Come in, Dor. Go on.
Can't mention about Thiago Silva. Like Max was saying about, was you disappointed that he left? I wasn't, because his record from last season, 4 goals and 4 assists, playing as number 10. I wasn't upset. Like the younger fans, like Max, yes, they were disappointed. But me, I wasn't disappointed, to be fair. We sold him for I don't know how much we sold him for, but I wasn't disappointed. I think
I wasn't.
I
actually think when he left, it was a sigh of relief, because I wouldn't go on Twitter when the Forest team was announced and see, where's Carvalho? Why isn't Carvalho playing?
Yeah.
Carvalho's great.
Didn't he score in that game at QPR?
Yes, yeah, he did. He scored that goal where he nutmegged the guy and then put it under the keeper.
Yeah, but that's when he come on. He come on. There's a problem with him.
It's all well and good, Dor, coming on and playing well at 2 or 3-0 up against 10 men, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
The thing with Carvalho, right? He plays well when he's not under pressure.
Yeah,
that's the problem. Because when he come on against QPR, we're winning 2-0. Well, was it 1-0? And the game's already won. And he's come on, no pressure, and this is what he does. He plays fantastic. So that's with everyone saying we're going to miss Carvalho. No, we're not. We move on.
Too lightweight for the championship. It's too physical a league for him.
So we get to Monday, and this parlays into our private Twitter DM conversation earlier today. And Gerhard Struber leaves at about, 3 in the afternoon. So I get all my work done, guys. I sit down for dinner and I tell my missus, darling, I'm yours for the rest of the night. We're gonna have a lovely old time. We're gonna, I'll do the washing up, and then we'll eat our dinner. We're gonna go and watch TV. Literally, guys, I put my phone on the table. I put my phone on the table, had one bite of food, having just made a video on Gerhard Struber, and it just flashes up. Sabri Lamouchi has been fired by, and I'm like, oh my God. And
I was the same.
But Dor, I'm like, it's Forest as well. This is not a small club in the Championship. I need to go and talk about this. Do you know what I mean?
Because
go on, Max.
I'd been at college and I got in at about 6:45, and I was just getting a few things set up, and it was when FIFA 21 had come out, and it was the premium edition, and Mitre had given me the edition so I could play it early. So I was like, great, because I'll be able to film a bit of content which has been released for Mitre with FIFA and the FA Cup. I was thinking, get in, a night on FIFA, a few mates chilling. And then I literally, to be fair, I was about 10 minutes late to the news. I was actually quite late, and I just checked my phone and I went, oh, and then I went downstairs and I went, should I do a video? I was like pacing up and down, should I do a video? Should I not do interviews? And then I saw Dor do one and I thought, I'm not letting him do one. I thought I'm gonna have to beat him with something. No.
The competition in the Forest YouTube space here.
Max, the best thing is Max, the best thing is for 3 days prior to that, Ben had been getting onto us going, get ready. I'm going to go live.
There you go. It's coming.
So I quickly, when it was announced, this was when Lemucci was sacked. My mum went, oh, Max, dinner's ready. And I went, I'm really sorry. I'm taking my dinner upstairs, scoffing it down. I probably had half a plate. It was like pie and peas. I had half a plate of it. And then I got my phone book out and I was just ringing every person you could get hold of. It was that desperate. I thought I'd honestly have to go and interview Mr. Dor or something. Was I going to have to go and interview somebody like him? But luckily, two people were available, and a Brighton fan as well. And when I rang Emily Anderson, who's, bear in mind, like an East Midlands Today presenter, she's really on the news. She rang me and I went, yeah, I'm just wondering if you're up for coming on the video tonight. She went, why Max Forest aren't playing? I went, have you not seen Lemucci's been sacked and Houghton's been appointed? She went, oh my God, I didn't know that this has happened. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's because I've been helping the kids with the homework. And it was almost like, because it all just happened quickly again, and because it was like a Tuesday night, wasn't it? It was a cold Tuesday night where everybody wanted to, like you, Mr. Bloom, snuggle up with the missus and watch a film, and then it gets on. We all have to create content.
Look, we've all had this conversation of 20 minutes before going, darling, I'm all done for the night, yes. and then the next conversation of, I'm so sorry,
right?
I am so sorry. Just give me 30 minutes. And 30 minutes means 45, don't you?
my girlfriend had come round for dinner and I spent none of the evening with her.
Oh, no.
I literally walked back in the living room. She went, right, I'm going home then now. And it was like 9:30. I'm like, okay.
Brutal. Right, guys, let's get to this because this... we got some parallels to draw here because I actually remember distinctly I was driving to Liverpool to go and do some work. And I'm driving down the road and, I've got my Waze up and I'm following it there. Law-abiding citizen. And it flashes up. God, who would even have been the...
Martin O'Neill.
Yes. Martin O'Neill has been fired as Nottingham Forest manager. Do. So I'm processing in my brain, what am I going to say about Martin O'Neill, et cetera, et cetera. No, I'm thinking about this. And I'm going to pull over and do one of my classic Benjamin Bloom car videos. No. And literally, you couldn't write it. I'm like, right, I know what I'm going to say. Here we go. Sabri Lamouchi has been hired as Nottingham Forest manager. So we get exactly the same thing this time. But look, let's just take it back a little bit because Bristol City lose at home to Cardiff. Cardiff are 10 points off the playoffs with... 9 points off the playoffs with, or 10 to play for. No, 10 points off the playoffs with 9 points to play for, right? And so the huge link from all of my Bristol City contacts is it's going to be Houghton, and I'm sure you've heard all the rumours about. And I can't believe this, but I'll tell you what I've heard about an interview that happened and didn't go very well, and in the end they've ended up turning to Dean Holden. Anyone who knows anything about Chris Houghton, I can't quite imagine him fluffing an interview, to be honest. But that's the urban myth that is out there. So anyway, let's just do the quick once-over on Chris Houghton. So massively respected coach for Tottenham for ages and ages. Works for Newcastle under Mike Ashley. They're relegated. And we have to caveat this. brilliant points total for Newcastle, 100 points, I think, over 100 points. But we have to caveat, Newcastle in the Championship is a joke, isn't it? It's a behemoth, and Mike Ashley, for once, actually he's given Rafa and Houghton huge amounts of money. So Houghton, great job at Newcastle, but then didn't get long, and I think he wanted to do Pardew, didn't he? Birmingham, he comes down, very, very well liked, but, and I have to give the caveats, parachute payments were in play at Birmingham. Houghton does a good job there. Birmingham fans like Houghton, Newcastle fans like Houghton. Off we go to Norwich, keeps them up one season, very pragmatic, and what the Nottingham Forest website didn't say is that the following season, there's a bit of a sense that it was beyond the point of no return when he was fired, and Norwich then go down. Okay, so 2 ticks in the box at Newcastle and at Birmingham, half a tick and then a bit of a cross at Norwich. Then we go to Brighton, where we all have to admit he did a very good job. Again, I'm going to throw in the caveat that Tony Bloom spent a lot of money to get Brighton up there. People like Shane Duffy coming in for $5 million in the last season. But he did the job. He got Brighton up into the Premier League. He kept them up in the Premier League, and then was they wanted to go a different way. And we haven't seen nor heard from Houghton since. So I'm gonna really coat the question beautifully for you. So what I'm gonna say is, if Mr. Marianakis can give Houghton anywhere near what he had at either Newcastle, Birmingham, or Brighton, and Houghton is anywhere near as good as he was at those places, then logic would suggest Nottingham Forest would be near the top end of the division. That makes sense, yeah? If he's got a financial advantage and he's anywhere near as good as he was at Brighton, which was good, he got them up, he had money, caveat, I'm moving back and forth, I know. So, we'll do it as a very simple question. Mr. Dorr.
Why me?
Because you haven't gone first yet. You can go last if you want. Mr. Dorr, is Chris Houghton... is Chris Houghton with the right conditions, and that might be 2 years and, some backing, and he hasn't gone off the boil since we last saw him, is he good enough to take Nottingham Forest up?
Why not? I don't see why not. With experience with Newcastle, Brighton, and even Birmingham. I think he got Birmingham into playoffs, didn't he? I think it was. Why not? But he needs 100% control, because personally, I don't want that director of football to be in his way, because we know, as Malcolm and Max know, this Olympiacos connection. If he's not getting his own players, Houghton's not going to like it. So personally, I think Houghton needs 100% control. I want him to do well, but this season it's not going to be. What's the word? We're not going to go up. Personally, I want to go up, but I just don't. I think it took him two seasons for Brighton to go up, wasn't it? 2 seasons?
Three.
For Brighton to go up? 3 seasons?
2.5. Yeah, he was.
2.5.
I think he came in around the Christmas time.
Yeah. If Forest fans think that Houghton's going to go up straight away, it's not going to happen like that. So, personally, I think Houghton needs 100% control with no interference at all. But you know what's happened for the last 3 managers. So, it is a tough one for Houghton.
Malcolm, I'll quote the question again. Given the same circumstances and situation, obviously he's not going to get Newcastle type situation, but given backing and at least two seasons, and I'm classing this as a full season with 42 games, can he take Forest up?
Given that amount of time, yes. But he won't get that much time. And yes, you can, Mr. Bloom. If he gets those same conditions, yes, you can. but he won't. I doubt he'll get the same conditions. It's the same reason that managers don't play young kids nowadays, because it's just too risky for them, because they know that if they have a few bad results, they're going to be out of the club.
100%.
Max, same question. Given favourable conditions, can Chris Hughton take Nottingham Forest up?
Yeah, and if Chris Hughton can't get Nottingham Forest up, then nobody ever will, and I will stand by that. If Chris Hughton can't get Forest into the Premier League, then nobody will. And it's like you said there, Ben. You know, given Marinakis giving him the money and giving Chris Hughton with all his experience, but then I'm thinking to myself, yeah, but it is Nottingham Forest again. It is us. You know, we are who we are. And it is a bit of a cliche saying that. And a lot of Forest fans... And it's a bad mentality to have. But I'm just never really... I'm optimistic and I'm hopeful. But I'm never, like, sure. I am never sure at all.
Wow. Okay. I think we've done it, guys. It's certainly going to be fun. Just very, very quickly, we'll go to Malcolm. Does the fact that the Nottingham Forest website was told to write manager actually mean anything?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, I think
it does, because just very quickly, my point, the point I made the other night on the video on our stream was that I think during the negotiations, Hughton will have laid out exactly what he wants, and I think the Greeks will have made it pretty clear what they want as well. And I really do firmly believe that Marinakis wants Forest in the Premiership. No doubt about that, because he's a businessman and that's where all the money is.
Boys, have you got 5 minutes to do any questions if any come in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, guys. All to Malcolm. Get me a Max.
Get your questions into the chat if you want. Let's stick it. Let's keep it at Forest. Look, I'll be on to do England Belgium on Sunday night, so any general questions can come to me. Max, are Nottingham Forest fans happy with Marinakis ownership? And this is from Jay, who is a Leeds fan. Yeah. Get your questions in before Max answers that. Are they happy with Mr. Marinakis?
Well, I think, yeah, and I am. And I think I was just shocked to see on Twitter this week that Forest had put in a brand new manager and that straight away people are saying this is Fawazi. This is, the bloke's just got us a new stadium, which is happening. And I'll say this now as well. There was a lot of tweets put out by a respectable...
Don't mention him. Don't.
This is my personal opinion on it. Daniel Taylor is a great journalist, great articles for The Athletic, and he knows a lot about Forest, inside information and outside, just as a general fan. I do think, though, that maybe his tweets were over the top. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because I think that... And I do agree with someone that if we sack another manager and that we're not promoted maybe in a year's time, or we're not promoted by, in 2 seasons' time, then maybe we can use the word Fawazi. But this is typical Forest fans, and we have to be careful what we wish for. I can remember I didn't support the club that much back then, but when Forest forced Nigel Doughty out and had protests against them, look what happened then. Of course, Nigel Doughty sadly passed away anyway, but we ended up getting Fawaz in, and of course, look what happened there. Forest fans have got to be very careful what they wish for. Marinakis is a good owner. Let them get on with it, and I honestly think this season things will get better, and I'm sure Ben and Malcolm will agree with me that it's nowhere near the Fawaz era. Isn't anybody that says that? I agree. I agree with questioning the recruitment, questioning the constant sacking of managers, but not calling them to go. That I've seen actually some people do. Sure. Not calling them Fawaz. Fawaz in disguise. I think that's just a joke, honestly.
Cool. This is a very broad one from LJP Gaming. Where do you think we will finish this year? He's tying his colours to the mast there. Can I reframe that question? Sorry, LJP Gaming. We'll go round quickly. Given that we suspect Chris Hughton would probably need to the end of next season, not this season, what would represent enough for Mr. Marinakis at the end of this season to say, okay, this is going well. Here's a bit more cash. We do some bits and bobs with Olympiacos and we'll back you next season. What represents, we'll go Door first, what represents enough for Houghton to get a favourable circumstance in the second season, Door?
Personally, like I said, if Forest are in the playoffs around January, third place, they need a better 100% window. I don't think we'll bring in 3 or 4 players. Hopefully, we don't bring any Olympiacos players in. I think we need. Like I said, we've got to be in the playoffs, but I don't know. But it's just a question to ask, Benjamin. Generally really frustrates me when it comes to getting players in, but we need to be in playoffs. That's all it matters. For Makarakis to think to Houghton what players you want. So,
Malcolm, does anything looking like middle of the table and you're going to have a good season next season? Is that enough, or is he going to want more?
No, it's got to, for Marinakis, I think it's going to have to be above 7th because he's just got rid of a manager who finished 7th. And in his mind, he's appointing a manager who's got a ton of experience in this league and is well respected. Is a well respected coach in the game of football. So it's got to be 7th, be above 7th.
Interesting.
Also
very,
depends
very
on who's available. Let's say that Forest miss out on the playoffs the end of the season, and this happened with Lamucci, I think, last. Is that if they're angry with him and they're not happy with him and he hasn't achieved his targets, if there's no one good enough available better than him, then we won't get him. It was like almost Lamucci last season. I think the reason why we might have stuck with them was my kind of thought about next season, but also the fact that nobody else was available good enough.
Well, that's very, very interesting, Max, because Houghton has been available for 2 years. So, yeah.
Lamucci,
there you go. That's very revealing. Very, very revealing.
Lamucci and Houghton are quite similar looking, and I just think they've got the wrong manager.
Tremendous.
They got mixed up.
I'm going to, as I'm very good at, I'm going to reframe this question as well. Would the lads play Grabs and Taylor up front together? Look, we don't think Houghton is a 4-4-2 guy, but Max, talk to me briefly about what you expect from Houghton, and are we expecting Mr. Knockout to arrive tomorrow, in 2 days' time, or maybe in a week's time?
I don't know. I don't know what will happen with. I don't know what will happen with Knockout, but honestly, I've never liked the player. I think he's a diving, cheating, whatever. I think that the best ever video for me, it was like karma, just pure karma, was when he dived and he won that penalty for Leicester, and then Watford went up the other end, and that was just like God was saying, we're going to give you karma now, have that Knockout. And that was one of the sweetest moments from watching. I was just so pleased for Watford. Anyway, taken away from the fact that I don't particularly like him in terms of the way he plays football, I think that if he comes to Forest, it'll be brilliant. I think, honestly, it'll be fantastic.
It's like Robbie Savage back in the day. You hated him, but if he came to your team, you'd have been well happy.
Well, Malcolm, in the would it have been 16-17 when Brighton went up, and Houghton had set the team up for Brighton in such a way where it was quite tight, but he still, and this bodes well for players like Luke Freeman and Joe Lolly as well. It was tight, but maybe a little bit different than the Moosey. And we've seen this with someone like Neil Warnock, and I'm not comparing Neil Warnock to Chris Houghton, but whereby when he does have a flair player, a Hoylett or a Tarabd or someone like that, they're very much allowed to play. And I think that would bode well for a Freeman or a Knockout. Malcolm, what's your view?
Definitely, 100%. I mean, if Knockout signed for us, I'd be over the moon. I think it would just give us that little bit extra dimension that we need. And I think that it would get players like Luke Freeman G'd up, and not that it needs G'ing up, but it would just give them that bit more confidence and playing together. And so, yeah, I think it'd be great. I think it'd be really good for Forest.
And Dor, what are you expecting sort of team-wise from Houghton? And look, I know we talked about 12 players coming in, but you wouldn't say no to Anthony Knockout before the end of the window, would you?
Listen to me, right? Even if he is a muppet, it will be a fantastic time for Forest. I think that's the kind of player we need. I've been crying out for a winger, and Knockout, champion experience, really good. Get him. Just get him.
Love it. Boys, thank you so much. And I need to say on air, thank you to Dor, who sort of facilitated this whole thing. It's been really, really fun. I hope, for God's sake, I hope we're not doing it within at least 24 months. But there you go. Mr. Dor, can you give me a plug for your work? And I'm sure if people are watching me who are of a Forest inclination, they'll know who you are. But
I'm the best Forest YouTuber, but in front of Max. I'm Max Day with Dor. I'm joking aside. Basically, I'm doing Dor on tour. Well, I'm not Dor on tour. I'm Dor on news. But basically, I'm just doing transfer news. So that's what I'm doing.
Where can people find you, Ben?
Basically, Dor on tour. DORA on tour. But yeah, I'm more doing vlogs and that. But yeah, subscribe. Let me beat Max.
Malcolm, we had a very enlightening evening in Shepherd's Bush. Where can people find you online?
You'll find me on Door on Tour. I'm the one that makes the channel popular, apparently.
Oh, you're the troops of the channel, yeah.
Guest appearances on Stay with Max.
I was going to say, well done there, Malcolm. You just recovered yourself.
Well, I did sign for you temporarily in the summer, didn't I?
You did. No, to be fair, Ben, if anyone does want to see Malcolm, who is a top class pundit, by the way,
as we've just seen over the past hour, Max,
on a better platform with maybe better questions to him, and he doesn't get bossed around as much. Check out Match Day with Max. Top quality content.
There's only Dan from Forest TV who hasn't asked me to work for him.
Very much like this. But in all seriousness, guys, before we sign off, from my point of view, it's all very bittersweet. When I have because I do the championship, when I have a Leeds or a Nottingham Forest or a Sheffield Wednesday, I want them to do well, but I don't want them to do too well because I want them to stay around because they're big clubs. Do you know what I mean? So it's great that Leeds did well last year and Aston Villa the year before, but it's nice to have some big clubs in the Championship. But obviously, we would like you to not stay in the doldrums for too many years. But guys, thank you so much for joining us. You three guys hang around after the credits. Thank you, everybody in the chat. I hope you understand we haven't gone to too many comments because I've got three guys on here and I wanted to get everybody to have their say, and I didn't want it to be comment this, comment that, comment the other. We will be back. I'm going to take the day off tomorrow. So unless anything ridiculous happens tomorrow and there's another two firings.
You just wait. Forest will
I'll wait. Yeah. There we go. Eight firings and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be made Barnsley manager, yeah? I'll be back for England versus Belgium on Sunday night. We'll be doing a watch along there, and that will turn into a bit of a Q&A knowing England games. And also, please do check out, we're giving away a copy of FIFA 21 on the channel at the moment. Go and look at the other videos. I don't know a thing about it, but apparently everyone likes to play this game.
Max likes to play it.
And Max likes to play it. There you go. So apparently it's very, very good. Yeah, go and enter that giveaway. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to roll the credits and we're going to speak on the other side. Thank you to everybody in the chat. And I will see you all very soon. And it is over and out from
the Reds.
me.
Peace and love.